It's something that is always on my mind, but I listen to about 10 minutes of the radio on my way to take my kids to school and then on my way back. And in that 10 minutes, I heard about a study that in Pennsylvania, where I am, on waterways that was just published. And so they tested waterways across the state, and 100% of water samples tested positive for microplastics. 100%. This is really striking. So internationally, globally, at least 84% of water tested test positive for microplastics. So this is 5 millimeters and below. This is how plastic degrades. It doesn't biodegrade. It doesn't break down. It just gets broken up into smaller and smaller pieces until we go, I guess it's not there anymore. It is estimated that we consume on average a credit card's worth of plastic every single week. Every week. We're all getting 52 credit cards worth of plastic in our bodies through the foods we eat, the air we breathe, and the water that we drink and bathe in every single day. And it is broken down into small enough particulates that we are breathing it in if we're dealing with dirty air. So if you are somewhere with pristine air, you may not be actually inhaling those plastic particulates. This is a really huge problem. So internationally, we're at 84% of all water. Nationally, the most recent studies I had seen prior to this one were at 93%. And now here in Pennsylvania, 100% of waterways test positive for plastic microfibers. It is the trash we are throwing away. It is the clothing we are laundering. It is all around us. It is the microbeads and cosmetics and personal care products, and it is becoming more and more problematic because every single bit of plastic that has ever been made is still here on the planet. It's just now more in our bodies, in birds and livestock and insects. It's the same thing that we see with pesticides, where it moves through the food chain in a much more silent way than pesticides, because it doesn't immediately kill all of those organisms. So it is something that we should all be aware of as practitioners. We should make our clients and patients aware of this, especially women, especially people who are being exposed to things like mold and mycotoxins. So this takes me in a somewhat theoretical direction, but there has been a lot of talk in the past few years about, is mold getting more toxic? You know, we're all exposed to mold. We have all always been exposed to mold, and yet I think every single one of us here is very aware that people are struggling more with it than they used to, that it's seeming to build up to higher levels. It's not being cleared as readily. Well, what else is going on? Is it really that the 5G is making the mold more pathogenic? Maybe. Is it our modern building techniques? Maybe. But is part of it potentially that we are all being exposed to 52 credit cards worth of plastic inside our bodies every year, stressing out and depleting this pathway? Plastic is also not the only phytoestrogen or endocrine disrupting chemical that we are exposed to. And so I say this all the time. I've probably said it 100 times on our recordings, and I'm going to say it probably 10 million more times. We live in a toxic soup of a planet, and most of these toxins are human-made. We have over 80,000 chemicals that we have made and put into circulation. And the number of these that have been studied for safety in conjunction with one another still stands at 0. So we test these things independently. We rely on industry to test them, and they test them in isolation for this reason. So yes, mold is putting a very distinct and troublesome burden on our body, but it is never the only thing that we are exposed to. So if we can reduce the other toxins coming in at the same time that we are upregulating these detox pathways, we give people another potential avenue to get well.